If a teacher can teach that it's okay to write a word the way it is pronounced, we have not made progress in America at all. Like the word cake is spelled with an E, not without. People need to learn to get their facts straight about teaching that, because I had to correct a child who spelled cake without the E, and he didn't like it. And I'm like, you need to teach way better than that. And I've seen a lot of stories, I've heard a lot of stories where they inappropriately teach, and it's sad that teachers are still like this. They need to change. Because I ended up going to a school. Yeah, it's an educational institute, but it's kind of like specialized. And they gave me a diploma for teacher's aide. And sadly, most diplomas are not appreciated and need to be, even though they're not degrees. I know I heard one story about this girl that I felt sorry for, because she was like a teacher and they wanted her to get more education, and I'm like, wait a minute, she already has education, why does she need more? Leaving her stranded. And I'm like, dang, America's not what I even thought it would be. Just like parents who abuse their kids thinking, oh yeah, it's discipline, when it's actually abuse. Like they can't tell the difference between abuse and discipline. And I was like, yep, time for Super Nanny. We need her. Definitely get some of these teachers to act right and understand that I am right about things, like teaching kids the proper way to write, because I know some, they take a while to write. There's some that have dysgraphia, which is not always diagnosed. I notice how many people on YouTube, they have people who are higher up than me, and they explain dysgraphia, and surprisingly, a lot of the comments were, yeah, I have that, and nobody diagnosed me with it. I'm like, I'm not fucking surprised how many people do not diagnose dysgraphia, which is where the letters are not even. I've seen that a lot. And yeah, that's another problem too. Dysgraphia can go with anything. It can go with ADHD, it can go with ADD, it can go with OCD, and it can even go with PTSD. So it's like, wait a minute. So, and yeah, it's in medical books. And I don't know why it's skipped. If people have all this education, especially these medical books, it's like, and you're using which medical book? Because our family has a medical background, I just found out. And I was like, oh boy. So, yeah, you need to recheck how you're doing medical and get more accuracy in there, because that's important. Because I know if I didn't get accuracy in some of the jobs I had, I definitely wouldn't have had it as long as I had done it for. Especially the lifeguard one and instructor one, that was a challenge. Because you have to do first aid and CPR on top of that. And I'm like, uh-oh. So you're doing like a lot of jobs at once instead of just one job. And I'm like, man, I guess I can handle things a lot differently than I thought. And yeah, that's another thing too. The certification they gave me was an actual certificates, not diploma. And yeah, there is a difference between diploma, degree, and just certificates. People need to get those facts straight too, because it is a form of education regardless of what people think is education but isn't. And by the way, educate is Latin. So watch the origin or the origin of the word. Because a lot of these words, they think, oh, it's written in English, so it's English. No, we are inaccurate about that. Because there are so many words today, over 500,000, that are not English based. They're just written in English. So get all the books you can on that, if you can, because that's a lot of books. I went through over 10 because of my reading capabilities. And yeah, and that's the other thing. I'm a silent reader. I don't like reading out loud because of dysarthria, which a lot of people didn't diagnose me with and should have. Let's say they misdiagnosed me, and they misdiagnosed a lot of people actually. And they need to look up those facts, especially before diagnosing. Because in my medical speller that we had, there's over 35,000 medical words, and yeah, some are connected to other medical words. So yeah. So that's another thing you gotta watch out for. Watch out for the connection. Because the medical words have more than one connection. Especially if they're abbreviated. It's like, uh-oh. Like DOT has 4 or more meanings. It's like, okay.